Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me, your host, Tommy Gilbert, as we sit down and take a behind-the-scenes look into Titan athletics with weekly interviews with coaches and athletes. This is Titan Tabletop. Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again inside our very makeshift podcast studio for a second consecutive week. The construction is almost done on the regular studio here at the Ames Library, but for now, we'll be making this work in the space that we have with Will McNulty and Gregg Huffaker coming up in just a few minutes, and we'll finish things off with Taylor French and Hannah Tellor from women's volleyball. So we'll start things off for the first time this year with men's soccer. Will, welcome. Good to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So thinking back, 10 months ago now, one of the most thrilling finishes in a Titan soccer season history, really, with the CCIW run through the CCIW Tournament Championship, and then, of course, the NCAA tournament berth. And as you're coming off, an incredible run like that, and then all of a sudden finding yourself back on campus in early August, getting ready to start camp, do it all again. What's the energy? What was the vibe like at the beginning of camp this summer?
Yeah, I'd say dating back to kind of the tournament, I think it really started right after kind of that hunger that stayed with our team going into the off season. And that off season last year was one of the best I've seen during my 4 years here. So I think that going into camp, we kind of picked up where we left off. Going from that spring season that we had really positive results from, and then adding a couple pieces of freshmen that can play and hardworking guys, I think that we're in a great spot. And going into preseason, we had high expectations for ourselves already. So really keeping that high standard, coming off obviously great results from the year before. We were looking forward to starting the season, and we're off to a good start so far, but we're not done yet.
Yeah, and we were chatting a little bit before we went on camera a few minutes ago about how excited you are about the beginning of the season and about the start you guys are off to, 2-0-1 so far. Had a good road test up at Kalamazoo on August 30th. Came away with an interesting 1-1 draw in that one. I believe had a fourth-minute goal.
Yep.
Led 1-0 the whole way, and then Kalabi come out with the equalizer in the 80th minute. You guys feel pretty good about that as a pretty tough road game to start the year?
Yeah, it was a good trip overall for us. Obviously, we left some points on the table. We thought that we could have won that game and probably should have won that game realistically. But coming off of it, we felt pretty positive about the way we played, and there was a lot of good things to gather from the game. And then you saw with these last two results that we kind of put that into play. So obviously, hindsight's 2020. We'd love to win that game and go back, but I thought it was a good trip to help that group really gel and to help us kind of move forward as well.
Yeah, and I always think, being able to get off campus
Yeah.
for one of those first couple games, especially on a longer road trip, is really nice at the beginning of the season. It's great to have everybody together on campus for a few weeks in training, but it is training in the middle of August when nobody else is here yet, and it can feel a little like drudgery after a while, no matter how excited you may be to get the season going. Did you guys stay overnight?
We did stay overnight. We had the chance to actually train at Western Michigan's facilities. Coach Shaw has actually coached at Western Michigan as an assistant a couple of years ago, so he had the in there. Their facilities were obviously awesome, so that was a treat to get to go over there and play there the night before. And then, like you said, spending time off campus with the team. Our room situations were very calculated in terms of getting people kind of out of their comfort zone and mixing seniors with freshmen, with juniors with sophomores. So I feel like that's pretty big too, is just making people kind of cultivate those relationships that they might not have had before, so our team can kind of go in a even more positive direction than we already are.
Yeah, and that was really your one chance to get off campus together for quite a while. Out of all the sports, like we were talking about last week with Mike Wagner, who are away 75% of the time in September. Not the case for you guys. A nice run of home games here. Already got that started in the last 4 days here. A 1-0 win over Eureka last Thursday, September 5th. The 78th minute goal there for McIntosh. And then yesterday, of course, as we're filming this on Monday, so the Sunday afternoon. That one was the one that was not a nail-biter so far of the three games. 4-0 at half, Logan Tierney and Fahim Mujahid both with a pair of goals in that one. Three of those goals coming in the last 10 minutes before the half, and you walk into the halftime locker room on a roll like that, it's got to feel pretty good after two nail biters to open the year.
Yeah, feels great. The nail biters are obviously what we're accustomed to and what we've been battle tested for, but to play with a lead is something that we've been, kind of putting on the top of the bulletin board. We need to learn how to do it and do it well. So I think that we did well yesterday, and obviously you saw guys step up with their first goals like Logan Tierney and Ryder Coleman, and being a defender that has to play against those guys every day at practice, it's heartwarming, and I'm really happy to see them, kind of step into those shoes and score goals, and I know that they had it in them, so I'm really excited for both their future, and obviously Fahim as well, who's a regular in scoring goals.
Yeah. And going back to a couple other things we talked about earlier, I know feeling really good about the season so far and looking forward to some bigger tests down the line.
Yeah, I think that we've been tested a little bit so far. I think that Kalamazoo trip did a good job of kind of letting us know where that standard needs to be, and that we need to be a little bit better. And then these past 2 games, keeping clean sheets. Shout out to Sam Kedzier, who's done a great job so far. We need to continue to do that as we step into these next couple games, and definitely take care of home. Like you said, we've got a big stretch of home games, and we don't want anybody to score on our field, and we obviously want to take care and be undefeated. So that's kind of the goal there.
Mm-hmm. And talking about those next couple of games, it's you guys are off until Friday against Rockford at 7 p.m. here. When you're looking at these first few early season non-conference games, how much time do you guys spend watching film, getting ready for these teams? Obviously, when you're dealing with game 2 or 3 of a season, there's not a lot out there necessarily on some of these teams and how they've been playing this year.
Yeah, I think we focus a lot on ourselves and how we can kind of play our best soccer and our best brand of soccer. So we're watching film, we're kind of looking at things that we're doing right or wrong and how we could be better. Kalamazoo, obviously, coming back a week now, we've been looking at that film pretty closely to see what we could do to play against other opponents that might play like them. So now we've got a little bit of a sample size with Eureka and Blackburn as well. So I think that we are focusing, on other teams as we get closer to the date, but we're also just taking care of ourselves and making sure that we're doing all those little things to make sure that we're going to look like an October team in September, which has been kind of a goal of ours, to look like a mature team very early in the season.
Yeah, and it's, another one of those things you can look at last season's run at the end of the year and say it's just that much more experience playing big games. Even if you don't come out with a win in one of those last couple of games, one in PKs, it's big time experience, and having 4 postseason games under the belt and a lot of guys returning, it does help you probably feel a little bit more advanced at this time of year, I would say, than maybe you were last year in game 4.
Yeah, yeah, I would definitely say so.
Yeah. So off the field, everything else, obviously, that goes into, now 3+ years here at Illinois Wesleyan. Favorite memory from soccer, anything else off the field in your last 3+ years?
Yeah, I would say that my favorite soccer memory is obviously the CCIW win away at Carthage. That was a surreal experience to kind of see all of our work come together. And a lot of people kind of had bets against us, that we weren't going to be able to pull it out away and on the big stage, and we had a team that just believed, and you saw that being down 2-0 and guys not giving up, and I think that that's just a true testament to how our program is run, and that group of guys that we had and those seniors as well were great leaders. Shout out to them, and they've done a lot of work laying the groundwork for us in these past couple of years, for then us to kind of reap the benefits. And we had a lot of young guys that could play, and that gave us great minutes and helped contribute, which helped us a ton. And then off the field, I'd always just say the bus rides. I can't pick out one for you, but we always have a good time, and we've got a great group of guys that are very, very close. So I think that helps, obviously, on the field. And I'm not looking forward to counting my days down to that last bus ride. So having these home games is fun, but I love traveling with the team, so that's probably one of my favorite off the field memories.
Yeah, you have some big ones on the road coming up in CCW play, that's for sure, as you guys get started on that towards the end of the month and then into October. But one of my personal favorite little nuggets from the end of season run last year was a certain photo that emerged of you on the field at Carthage, I believe it was, after the title was won, which I hope continues to reappear all over the Illinois Wesleyan website and social media periodically throughout the season. But how did that photo op come about?
Yeah, so I had the banner, and obviously, it was kind of a whole hodgepodge of pictures going on after we won, and there was a lot of people celebrating, crying, hugging, family members and loved ones. So when I got my chance with the banner, I had the plaque as well, and I thought, a lot of people have been sleeping on us throughout the season, so I was gonna take a nap with the banner and have the plaque as a pillow. Just kind of a goofy picture, but I felt people were sleeping on us, so that was kind of where that picture came from.
I liked it. I was a fan. It may or may not show up occasionally in some SAC meetings this year, just as a nice backdrop to the meeting and distract everybody. But
yeah,
we'll see. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Will. We'll be back in just a few minutes with Coach Huff from cross country. Good luck. Once again, if you want to come out and see Titan men's soccer, they're at home quite a bit in the early portion of the season, but your next chance will be this Friday at 7 p.m. as they take on Rockford. Good luck, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Tommy.
They say inside every challenge is an opportunity. At Illinois Wesleyan, you have the power to seize that opportunity. Discover the tools, the mentors, and the experiences to take on any challenge and shape not just who you are, but who you will become. The best college in Illinois for jobs is right here. Tap or click now to start your free application and break through at Illinois Wesleyan University.
Welcome back, and our second guest of this week 2 of Titan Table Talk is longtime Titan men's women's cross country coach Gregg Huffaker. Huff, welcome.
Thanks.
So a little bit of a different start to the year for you guys. Often you guys kick it off over at Weibring or down at Milliken like last year, early in September, late in August. Really just training until this coming, is it Friday? Friday, the Redbird Invite on September 13th. So we'll get a chance to see the Titans in action at Weibring Golf Course this Friday. You can hit that meet right before you go see men's soccer play, as a matter of fact. But give us a sense of how you feel like the first few weeks of season have gone.
Yeah, I am really excited. I think that it's been a long time since we've had this many of the student athletes have such a great summer and be so prepared for the season. And so the NCAA changed some rules regarding when you could start preseason. We used to have a competition, and that changed last year. So this year we took advantage of that, and we did a team time trial almost 2 weeks ago on a Thursday night. It was still warm and humid. Really loved what I saw. The times maybe weren't reflective of their fitness, but the efforts were great team dynamics, and they've just been really putting in the work. And so I'm very excited for what that means this Friday, but really more what it means come championship season. From swimming that our championships are all decided on one day, and whatever we've done previous to that, whether it's great or bad, doesn't really have as much bearing on that one day. And so staying healthy, putting a lot of work in right now to prepare us for the championship season is kind of what we're focusing on. The competition will be great at the Redbird Invite, a lot of D1 schools. So some kids are just really going to get thrown in the deep end, but they run a great meet. It's a great course, and so I'm really excited and optimistic about what that means for us this season.
Yeah, coming off second place finish for the women, 7th place for the men, a couple of top 40 finishers on the men's side, Nick Fish and Zach Daniel both back this year, and then of course Adriana Crabtree, last year's champion, Annalise Chudy was 8th, Brooke 13th, Amanda 15th. A lot of veteran experience this year returning for both men's and women's teams.
Yeah, so the leadership's been amazing because they really have done a great job in the summer, touching base with teammates and encouraging teammates to put that work in. And so they showed up ready. And on the ladies' side, we just got to stay healthy. I think that we have a great opportunity to compete for a CCIW title. North Central's going to be really good. Wheaton should be good, so it's never easy, right? But some great veteran leadership, some great upfront power. Emma McGrath had a great summer and is running really well right now. Freshman Maddie Morgan is in terrific shape. Abby Quinn had a great summer, so I think there's some potential there to have a really great 5, 6, 7 runners. And on the men's side, we're in a whole different spot. And not that they haven't been working hard in the past, but just I think some guys, it's clicked for them a little bit more than in previous years, a little bit more confidence. So I think they're really ready to leapfrog a few teams and have a great finish this year.
Yeah. You talk about this Friday with a lot of Division I teams there being both a little bit of a wake-up call sometimes for the freshmen that this is collegiate cross country. It's a little bit different than some of the competition you might have seen in high school, but also a great test for some of those veterans who are used to competing toward the top of the CCW and regional meets. Any particular runners that you're looking forward to seeing after a long time off now this Friday?
I think Nick's really ready. I think he could start off with a lifetime PR over 8K. Ernie Watterson has had an incredible summer. He's mostly an 800-meter specialist, but he looks great. At our time trial, Seth Hammerski looked great, and Zach Daniel was amazing. He was our first finisher in the team time trial. He had an amazing summer. He was a little banged up during the track season. So we have a few guys that are really, really ready. Jack Thomas, a freshman from here in town, he went to Normal Community, had an amazing summer. He's had an amazing fall. But it'll be his first 5-mile race, so that'll be interesting. On the ladies' side, Annalise she is ready, right? Like, she knows this is senior year, and she's really putting it all out there. So I'm really excited to watch her compete. As I mentioned, Abby Quinn and Emma McGrath both have been really fantastic. Brooke had a great summer as well. We'll probably hold Adriana out at this first meet. She's just had a little tendonitis soreness. We'll probably hold her out, but I think the ladies should run really well. Maddie Morgan had a great senior year, but man, has she raised it up a notch, and she's looked really good. So I think exciting things on both sides. Just a great culture overall of kids that are just really getting after it and supporting each other. So I'm really excited.
Very nice. And when you talk about having a great summer and all that, obviously a long layoff for many sports is brought down a little bit by what they do in the spring. Cross country certainly the same with most or all of your team running track.
Yeah, all the team runs track.
I think it was everybody, but I wasn't 100% positive. So when you look at, they haven't been on a cross country course necessarily since November, but they were in action in Titan Green through the end of the spring semester. How does your training plan typically go in an ideal world for them over the summer? Is there a little bit of time off after that outdoor track season before they get back to running?
Yeah, I think it's really important, right? Like, I think that the sports culture and the youth sports culture has changed a lot, and a lot of activities are year-round. And being a runner, you're kind of in season almost the whole school year. Cross country in the fall, there's usually about 2 weeks where they're off and resting a little bit before track season, but then we're getting into track season right away. So yeah, I'm encouraging them to take about 2 weeks off, and then the plan starts slowly, and we build gradually over the course of the summer. We're focusing on the base phase, right? Like getting a strong aerobic base, long runs, tempo runs, and just increasing the volume of their training over the summer. And then when we get here, the first week of preseason is kind of an extension of that. We're still focusing on that, but a little bit more intensity than they had over the summer. And then that time trial was like, hey, let's remember racing is uncomfortable. There's no way around it, right? Like, racing is hard. And so that was the message, let's get uncomfortable. Let's work on the mental side when we're in the middle of it, to just remember that racing's tough. And they did fantastic. And so I think that should be, still remembering the longer race distance now, but that they should be optimistic about what they're ready to do.
Mm-hmm. Is your training different at all in a week leading into a race?
Yes. Typically, we'll have our harder days on Monday and Thursday if we're not racing, and we'll race 2 weeks in a row, but we like to race every other weekend. And so we'll go Monday, Thursday for those harder days, but a race week will go Monday, Wednesday. Today was a big one. We went at 5:45 a.m. and we'll come back again for a second session, what's become really popular in running circles called double threshold. That'll be really our only main session this week, so we're going to tone it down a little bit. to not be overly fatigued for the first real collegiate race. So.
Yeah. Any other kind of fun team bonding moments, funny stories from the first month or so that people have been back as you look off the course?
Yeah. So we kind of have some traditional team building things that we do, like human knot, and they do a photo scavenger hunt, and so those are always fun. Like I don't want to call class a distraction. That's Division 3, them being student athletes, I believe. But in preseason, we just have more time. And, so they're running twice a day. But we're filling some of that time with, just some goofy team building moments. And just, my hope is those are the things that they really remember, right? Not all of the races and not all of the workouts, but just the time together and the fun that they had and memories that they made. Like let's create an environment where, yes, they're going to work hard, but they're going to enjoy coming to practice, and they'll make lifelong friendships. And so I think preseason is just a lot of that time is building those connections and strengthening those bonds.
Mm-hmm. Well, once again, the one time the men's women's cross country will be in town is this coming Friday. What time?
5 and 5:45.
5 and 5:45, Weibring Golf Course. Park anywhere on the side streets around because you won't be able to get that close to it. But easy to find if you want to go check out the men's, women's cross country teams in action. Once again, that is your one chance this Friday, unless you want to travel up to Wheaton or Augustana later in the year. Thanks so much, Coach Huff, for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
We'll be back in a few moments. Whoever we had in here, how many of you are there over there? Sometimes if you're sitting around the office and you're a little jumpy, and you might feel like there's about 6 Huffs around and one of them waiting behind every door to scare you.
Absolutely. We do what we can.
Well, we'll find some video footage and maybe throw in here if we can edit that in. We'll see.
Hey!
We'll be back in a few minutes to talk women's volleyball with Taylor French and Hannah Tellor.
Get her with the right side, the cutter to Hardy for the throwdown. A senior day to remember for Grant Hardy with an impressive flush. On your feet, the 2-2 pitch, called strike 3. A breaking ball down the middle, freezes the batter bends, and Jake Pullum sprints off the mound. This one swung on into the outfield. That's going far, and it is gone. Bailey Turner walks it off for the Titans. 5 seconds. Sawyer White, the heave, the bank is open!
And welcome back for hopefully one final interview in our very makeshift podcast studio, joined by junior Hannah Tellor and fellow junior Taylor French from the women's volleyball team. Big, exciting first home weekend, a 3-match sweep in the Crafted Classic. Exciting victory over DePauw on Friday. I think that's where we should start, because a little bit shaky first 11 points, maybe down 8-3, and for those who were in the building, then you get to see maybe one of the best sets that I've seen out of Titan volleyball in the last couple of years. A 22-7 run against DePauw to close that out, started by, I think it was 4 straight kills from you, I'm pretty sure. It was a sense of the energy that run brought to that match. It was, again, some of the best defense I've seen us play in a while, too.
Yeah, it was a good game. A lot of energy in the building, and it was created from on the court and off the court. And then just the atmosphere was a great, wonderful time to be playing volleyball in that gym.
Yeah, I'd agree. The energy from both the fans was amazing, and just like on the court, and I think a big thing for us was just continuing to play aggressive rather than kind of hold back. I think that was a big thing.
Yeah, and especially, when you're still kind of feeling your way out in the early part of the season, getting used to a very different rotation in some ways than you're playing with last year. 22 kills, 12 digs for you, 11 kills and a .526 hitting percentage, that's not bad for those of you who are, it may not be aware. It's pretty solid. On Friday night, 29 digs as well for Cannon Boyd in her first match at the Shirk Center in Titan Green. But a little bit different level of competition across the board this past weekend from what you guys saw out at Wittenberg the first week. But really, I know what Coach Nelson Brown has tried to do over the past several years is really kind of set up the toughest possible early season schedule to get ready for. I mean, the CCW is a much different conference volleyball-wise than it was maybe 8-9 years ago. It's very deep. There's a lot of really good teams at the top, and you guys will be tested big time throughout CCW play. So that's where it's fun to get some of those early season tough matches like out of Wittenberg. But especially for you, Tellor, coming out of not playing too much in the scrimmages, it feel like it took you a while to maybe get into it and get the feel for things on the floor?
It was definitely, for me, it was more like frustrating, overwhelming, obviously, because I was out for a week during preseason because of my Achilles and everything. So definitely getting back into it, it was a lot, and it was enjoyable. At the same time, it was hard on myself because I didn't want to go up and injure myself again. So I was kind of hesitant and overthinking things, but having my teammates there to lift me up, support me, it was a big help, and just telling me that I can do it and I'm capable of it. It was really good support to help get me back to where I was.
Yeah, and when you're kind of trying to almost get the sea legs under you, so to speak, in the first couple weeks of the season, having those little confidence boosts, whether they come from somebody in the box behind you, whether it comes from, okay, I'm actually feel like I'm clicking with my setters, clicking with the teammates out on the floor, makes a big difference.
Yes, it does.
And then, as you get a chance to really work everybody on the roster onto the floor into those matches on Saturday, the sweeps 25-14, 19-14 over Loras, and then 25-7, 26-24, and 25-13 over Webster. Matches that largely, sometimes you can catch yourself falling asleep a little bit at the beginning, but that was not the case on Saturday. Came out and took control of just about all 6 of those sets right away.
Yeah.
And I know, one of the hallmarks of the program the last couple of years has really been the depth, and there's a lot of players who are maybe 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th on the floor right now who would have been starters maybe if you go back 5 or 6 years here, and giving so many girls a chance to get in the game is awesome, and it gives a sense of the excitement that you feel when you see somebody who doesn't get to play a lot, or some of the freshmen who are getting their first action out there really look good. Anyone you were particularly excited to see as first-time teammates getting a chance to shine on Saturday?
I think just everyone just being able to show that they're ready to be put in, even just all the freshmen, you can tell they were very excited to be put on the court, and I think they showed up to their performance when being chosen to go out there. I think they did a really good job, and definitely having the box's energy on the side really helped amp it up to help boost their confidence, I feel like.
Yeah. Both of you too, congratulations, by the way, being named to the all-tournament team along with Cannon Boyd. For those who may not know, both Hannah and Cannon transfers here as juniors. So give us a sense of kind of what the process was for you coming from ICC. Obviously grew up in Metamora, so never been too far from Illinois Wesleyan, either in high school or college. But what was the process for you deciding to make this your home the next 2 years?
Yeah, so I played 2 years at ICC, and I was super close to home, so I was living at home for those 2 years. And then when it came time to transfer, I started looking at just any options that I had, kept my options open. And then it came back down to the last, I was down to a couple schools, and Wesleyan was one of my top choices just because I really liked the coaches, they were great, and the team was super welcoming, and one of my main things was being close to home, whereas now I'm not obviously living at home, I live here, but it's still nice to be able to be so close that I can go home and see my family because that's really important to me, so that was a big deciding factor.
Yeah, and the flip side of that, of course, in addition to being able to go home and see them, is that they get to see a lot of your matches over the next 2 years as well.
Yeah, it's been great. My parents and grandparents and friends have been able to come watch me here, and it's just amazing, not only the support from them, but also being here, just the support from the entire student body coming out to watch our games, even on a Saturday. The amount of fans and students that came out to support us was just unreal.
Yeah, and I was there Friday night against DePaul. I was not there Saturday. I was up at Wrigley, the Cubs Yankees game. My apologies, I had to miss that. But and that I think really is only a little taste of what you're going to get at some of the matches later this fall. especially a couple of the big CCW
Milliken,
rivalry teams coming in,
Garbage.
Milliken, and
Yes.
of course Friday night at homecoming will be great. But with several of is all three of the other top four ranked preseason ranked teams in the
We're all
CCW
coming here.
are all going to be here
Yes.
this fall, and it
Same week
is.
in a row.
It's so fun. I mean, from my perspective, to sit down there and be able to look around the stands at timeouts, be able to count, 10, 11, 12 other teams that have big chunks of their team there, is about as cool as it gets. And when we went 2 years in 20 and 21 without having that, I think you really appreciate it now. So if you thought this crowd was good with the two sides for the tournament, I think you're going to be really really fired up in a few weeks for sure. But Taylor, when you look back now, 2 years complete in the program, basically the halfway point, and celebrated that the opening weekend of your junior year with the 1,000th career kill. Congratulations on that. I know you can get sometimes wrapped up a little bit in the individual numbers when you're talking about stuff and recapping things. In reality, it's just doing whatever you can to help your team win on any given night. And I think one of the things that the coaching staff in particular is really excited about this year is having a balanced offense and a balanced attack. And have you noticed that at all, like in preseason practices and in these first few matches?
Yeah, I think a lot this year. Like, past couple years, obviously, it's been like pretty unbalanced, and it's like I feel like it was always like I was like the last option or like first option to go to in like struggling situations. And I think this year we have a really good balance of like anybody who's at the net is like capable of putting a ball down and putting a ball away and like securing the game, which is like really good to have, and like knowing everyone has each other's backs and like you can count on anyone on the court, back row, front row. Like now it's really good connection, and we're all really good athletes here for volleyball.
Yeah, and I think you see some of that athleticism if you were at that Friday night match against DePauw in the back row and the front row in particular. Just 2 or 3 points in that first set that I thought, there's no way. Hallie Smith made a couple of great diving saves, like going toward the back line. Cannon had a couple really good digs. But it was everybody. I don't know how many offhand had 6 or 7 or more digs on Friday, but I think it was a dozen, 10 or 12 players or something like that if you're looking at the box score. Just that team mentality on defense especially. What were you used to playing position-wise at ICC? What did you play? Was it mostly middle or?
I played middle most of my freshman year, and then I started transitioning out to the pin just to fill spots for injuries and stuff. And then last year I kind of flipped around a lot at the beginning, middle, right side, outside, but then I spent the majority of my season last year on the right side, playing 6 rotations. So it's been a little bit more of a transition back to middle for me, but I'm getting more back into the groove, I guess, so it's been good.
Yeah, and that's where, when you're working with a group that's younger middles, and obviously graduated a couple that have played a lot there in the last couple of years, you felt like you guys have gelled pretty well together here in the early going, and still anything you're still trying to work on communication-wise in particular there, you feel like you guys have pulled it together pretty good?
I feel like we've pulled it together very well. I'd say we're really close, not only on the court, but off the court also. And I think that all the middles have great input, even maybe some obviously don't get to play, but they're still contributing by being able to say, hey, the spot's open, or just they are a great set of eyes for things that I may not be seeing out on the court at the time. So that's super nice to have.
Yeah. And big week coming up, of course. Couple of ranked teams on the ledger for whatever your early season rankings are worth, but ranked or not, Whitewater is always a tough one on Wednesday night. Heading up there, it's a 7 p.m. first serve against the 7th ranked Warhawks. And then a day back on campus on Thursday, and then turning right around and heading out to Iowa on Friday to face Co at 3 o'clock, Edgewood at 5 o'clock, and then separate from the Co triangular, heading to 22nd ranked Cornell at noon on Saturday. So a lot of chances to catch your Titan women's volleyball team in action this week. All of them on the road, but all available at iwsports.com, the live stream and the live stats. Any thoughts on this upcoming week from either of you?
It's definitely going to be a more challenging week than this past week that we had. And I think it's all about our mindset coming into it, because obviously, like, if you see the numbers, like, it's just a number in front of their team name. Like, doesn't always necessarily mean anything. Like, we go about it as, like, you're capable of beating anyone in the conference. So, like, if you put your mind to it, and I think we're very capable of doing it. We just gotta believe in ourselves and push each other and have the confidence in us. Like Kim likes to say, have that chip on your shoulder when you walk in the gym.
Yeah, I think this weekend is going to be a great opportunity just to show that we can play at our level and just continuing to do our thing rather than really, I mean, we are obviously focusing on the other team, but mainly just focusing on ourselves and what we can control. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, I know the coaches are very excited. I know all the returners very excited about what you guys can potentially do this year, certainly. So good luck this week against Whitewater, and then the 3 Iowa teams, Co and Edgewood at Co on Friday, and then Cornell on Saturday. And then finally, September 18th, that next Wednesday, come check out your Titans back in the Shirk Center once more as open CCW play against Wheaton. Good luck, ladies. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.